The next one we're going to do is factoring ax squared plus bx plus c when a is equal to 1. Okay? And so what we have here, remember when we had x plus 1, x plus 2, and we multiplied it out using FOIL. Okay, I'm going to do this quickly because now you know how to do this. That's x squared plus 2x plus x plus 2, and so that's x squared plus 3x plus 2. Now, this way it's expanding, right? And so what we want to go now, we're going to take this trinomial and we want to factor it. So my question to you is, how do we go from here to here? And the way you do this is to ask yourself, how did we get this term here? If I look at these factors to get 3x, how did I get 3x? Well, let's look up here. We have 2x and 1x. Where did that come from? If you look carefully, you can see that 1 plus 2 gives you 3. Then how do we get the 2? How did that happen? This 2, we can see that it's the multiplication of these two numbers. 1 times 2 gives you 2. So what you want to ask yourself is, what adds up to 3 and what factors? What we want to do is remember that that's what we're looking for, is what factors add up to 3 and have a product of 2. And that's what we're looking for. Okay? And so let's try this. Let's forget about this question, because this question, we've just done it. It's done for us. So what I would say is, to get x squared, your only choice to get x squared at the beginning is to have x and x. In order to get a factor of 2 at the end, in this case, your only choice, the only factors that give us a positive 2 when you multiply, are 2 and 1. And it's all addition. They're all positives. And 2 plus 1 gives you 3, and 1 times 2 gives you 2. So let's try another one. So if I wanted to write it out as ax squared plus bx plus y and write down a rule, I would say, to factor, ask what factors add up to b and have a product of c. That's what you're asking, okay? So that's what you're asking. So let's try one. Let's try an example. So if you have x squared plus, let's do 5x plus 6. So we want, this is your b value and this is your c value. So we want to know adds up to 5 and product is 6. What you can do is take this number here and find all of the factors of 6. That's what I would suggest. So factors of 6, we can start with 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Is there any other factors of 6? There isn't. So 1 and 6 does not make 5. What about 2 and 3? Yes, it does. So therefore, the answer is x plus 2 and x plus 3. Now, what if I had x squared plus 7x plus 6? I still have a product of 6, but this time I want adds up to 7. So looking at this, I can see that 1 and 6 would work. And for this one, it would be x plus 1 and x plus 6. And if I multiply it out and use FOIL method, I can find that we've got x squared, x times x is x squared, 1x plus 6x gives you 7x, and 1 times 6 gives you 6. And that's how you would do that. Now, sometimes it's a bit more complicated because of the numbers get bigger. So let's try one more. Let's try one more like this. Now, when I look at this number first of all, I see that the a value is not 1. However, number one thing you should always common factor if possible. So when I look at this, I will see that, oh, wait a minute, the common factor to all of these is 2. So let me put a 2 out, and then I've got x squared plus 5x plus 6. And does not look like the one that we just solved, where the product is 6 and the sum is 5. And we just did that, and we had x plus 3 and x plus 2. So before doing anything, always try to common factor if possible. Okay? So let's try one more. And so now we're asking ourselves, what are the factors that the product gives you 10 and when adding you get 7? Again, and first of all, always common factor, but we can see that the value here is just 1 and there's nothing in common here. The factors of 10, we can start with 1 and 10, 2 and 5, and that's about it. So these are the ones we're looking for. So the answer is x plus 2 and x plus 5. Okay, that's our answer. Now, what if I change this to a negative? We're going to try using one with a negative because what we want to do is as many combinations as we can to figure this out. Now, what about that? So now we want the factors of negative 10. So we have negative 1 and 10, or 1 and negative 10. Do either of these, I'll put that like I did originally. Do either of these give me a negative 3? No. I can put negative 2 and 5, and 2 and negative 5. Do either of these give me a negative 3? Yes, right over here. 2 minus 5 is negative 3, and so I know my answer is going to be x plus 2 and then x minus 5. And if I multiplied this out and FOILed it, I would get this answer here.